Good morning, grade fours. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite types of math. It is technically called algebra, but today we're just going to call it an introduction to equations. So first of all, what is an equation? An equation basically just means equal. It means that the two sides in an equation are always equal. So for example, this is an equation because on one of these sides we have 4 plus 2, and on one of the sides we have 6. They're separated by an equal sign, and we know that these are equal because 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. So on this side we have 6, and on this side we also have 6. So my equation is equal. It's balanced. It's solvable. We know that that is a good equation. Now sometimes instead of using numbers, we like to use letters in equations because we don't necessarily know what number is going to make that equation equal by just looking at it. So if you look at this next one, we know that some number plus 2 equals 6. We might not know exactly what that number is yet, but we do know that these two sides have to be equal. So n plus 2 must be equal to 6, and they balance themselves out on the scale. Now, we might be able to figure out how to find n just by doing some guessing, but today we're going to go through the steps that we should be taking to really be 100% sure that we are always getting the right answer in our equations. So that is what we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk about how we can find that missing letter using the proper steps. And grade 4s, before I go on, I just want to make a little side note here. You are going to be so tempted to not show all of your work for all of these questions. You're going to be like, oh, I'm writing out so many steps. But I promise you, you need every single one of the steps that I am about to show you. You will see in your math book, you need every single step. You need to show every single step. So please be careful. Don't try to cut corners. Make sure to show every step of your work as you go so that you can understand how this process works. And with that cleared, let's get going on our first equation. So here we have an equation. We have a number minus 3 equals 10. So we know on our scale that this side, the a minus 3, is going to have to be equal to 10. These have to be balanced, otherwise it's not a proper equation. So now we have to figure out, what do I need to do to figure out what a is? So what we really want to do is we want to find some way to get a all by itself over here. Right now we know what a minus 3 is equal to, but we don't know what a itself is equal to. So to do that, we have to somehow get rid of this minus 3. Now here's the problem though, grade 4s. If we just got rid of that minus 3 right there, our scales would all of a sudden become imbalanced. They wouldn't be balanced properly. They wouldn't be equal anymore. So I can't just get rid of something. Instead, whatever I do to this side, I have to do to the other side as well. So that's really important. So what can we do to get rid of a minus 3? Well, the best way to get rid of a number is by doing the opposite thing. So what's the opposite of subtracting 3, you may ask? Well, the opposite of subtraction is addition. So if we have a minus 3 over here, in order to get rid of that minus 3, we have to do the opposite. We have to plus 3. So now on this scale, I'm adding a plus 3. Now if I add a plus 3 to this side of my scale, I'm going to end up with an imbalanced scale again. So to balance it out, I'm also going to put a plus 3 on this side of the scale. So now my equation reads a minus 3 plus 3 equals 10 plus 3. Whatever I do to this side, I have to do to the other side as well. And now we can do some math. What is plus 3 and minus 3 put together? Well, they cancel each other out, so we can just put a big X on through them. And now we're left with just a. That's the whole reason we put the plus 3, is so that we can end up with just a. We get rid of the minus 3 by doing its opposite. So now we know a equals 10 plus 3, which means A equals, what is 10 plus 3? That's simply 13. Now I don't have to add anything else to both sides because this is just solving what's already on that side. I'm not adding anything extra to that side once I have the plus 3. So everything is still nice and balanced. So now this tells me that A is equal to 13. And therefore, we know what A is. We've solved the equation. Once we solve our equation, we also have to check. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to check my equation. Now to check my equation, I'm just going to replace A with 13. So if I look back at this original equation, I had A minus 3 equals 10. So instead of writing A, I'm going to write 13. 13 minus 3 equals 10, which means that 13 minus 3 is equal to 10. And look at that, 10 equals 10. If the same number is on both sides, we know that we have a proper equation. It's properly balanced because both sides are equal to the same number, and that is how we solve an equation. So it looks like a lot of steps. What you're actually doing isn't that tricky. It's just a matter of doing the steps in the right order. So what we're going to do is we're going to do another one together, and you're going to be able to see that balancing process all over again. So let's take a look at this next one. This one is actually in your book if you wanted to follow along in your book, but I'm going to show you how they get the answer and what steps they are taking. So here we go. We have n plus 2 equals 12 divided by 3. So I'm going to put that on my scale. N plus 2 is over here, and over here we have 12 divided by 3. Now, first of all, I noticed that this is going to be a number of some sort, and this can't be a number of some sort because we can't start adding n's or letters to our numbers, right? So we can't do anything with that right now, but we can do a 12 divided by 3. And by doing that, I'm not changing the amount. I'm just basically solving the amount they already have there. So that's going to be my first step. I'm going to figure out what that number is. So what I do is I leave my n plus 2 alone for now, and over here, I just do the math. What is 12 divided by 3? Well, 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. So n plus 2 is equal to 4. Now here, once again, this is going to be the tempting spot where you go, oh, but maybe I can solve this in my head. Don't do it. Show me the steps. That is really important. So let's look at our steps. We want to get n all by itself, but the only way to do that is to get rid of this plus 2. In order to get rid of a plus 2, we have to do the opposite of plus 2. What is the opposite of plusing 2? Well, it's minusing 2. So over here, I'm going to keep my n plus 2, but then I'm also going to add a minus 2 to that side of my equation. Good. If I add a minus 2 to this equation, now my scales are unbalanced. So whatever I do to this side, I have to do to that side as well. So over here, I'm going to have 4 minus 2 as well. And what does that do? Well, the plus 2 and the minus 2, they cancel each other out. Opposites cancel. You're left with n over here. And then 4 minus 2 gives me 2. So now I know n is equal to 2. I've solved my equation. But I'm not done. I don't know if that answer is right. I might have made a mistake somewhere along the way. So what I need to do is I need to check my answer. So here, I'm going to replace 2 back in the original equation. So the original equation was this one way up here. And now wherever I see n, I'm going to put a 2. So here I go. I have 2 plus 2 equals 12 divided by 3. That was my original equation. Now I'm just going to solve those. What is 2 plus 2? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. What is 12 divided by 3? 12 divided by 3 is 4. I have 4 equals 4, and that means that I've done a good job with my equation because both sides are equal. Please feel free to watch that again, grade 4s. These steps are going to take a little bit of time getting used to. That's why the first page doesn't have you solving these questions by yourself. It just has you filling in the blanks. So see what you can do about filling in the blanks. See if you can follow the steps. Now, in your textbook, you don't have to actually draw these scales. This is just a way that I like to see it. So you don't need to worry about this, but you do have to know how to do this part of the question. Okay? I wish you the best. Goodbye.